Sorry, was it loud? What's good, everybody? Alex here with Higa's Playbook, the show that talks about sports, dating, and all things life as a Seattle girl living in the Bay. We had a very, very eventful weekend. It was the AFC and NFC championships. Whew, there were some good ass games. Let's just get into it. All right, going off with the first game was Ravens versus the Chiefs. All right, now Kansas City started off, they looked super good. Kelsey had touchdowns. Like, I think Patrick Mahomes is just one of those quarterbacks where you kind of know what to expect. You know how he's going into this game. You know that his receivers, like everything is gonna go really well for him in a sense. Everybody was fired up. Kelsey was fired up. Every single reception he had a lot. They just looked good, and they looked like the Kansas City Chiefs. I was rooting low-key for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, I don't know. Obviously, his running game is always strong. He escaped so many sacks. But then I think for the Ravens, what kind of hurt them in the long run was their penalties. You can tell that Lamar Jackson had a lot of frustrations. He actually caught his own pass, which was a really crazy play. It was deflected, and then he caught it and then got a first down, which you never see. And I'm wondering how they stat that. But Lamar Jackson was showing frustration. There were stupid penalties. He had a long pass to Flowers, which was, I think, at the 3-yard line. And then Flowers got up, taunted the defender. He got a penalty, brought them back. And then they were close again, and then Flowers tried to get a touchdown, but he ended up fumbling it before the ball crossed the plane, which cost them a touchdown. So there were so many moments for the Ravens that they should have had a score or had a touchdown, but because of penalties, that didn't play into their favor. Especially within the second half, the Kansas City Chiefs are the best defense in the NFL in the second half, and they hold their opponents to 7 points in the second half, which will be really interesting when we talk about the Super Bowl. So Mahomes was 30 for 39, 241 yards, 1 touchdown. All in all, the Chiefs ended up winning 10-17. So that means the Chiefs are advancing to a Super Bowl, which this is Patrick Mahomes' 4th Super Bowl as a 6th-year starter for the Chiefs. And we'll get into that in a little bit too. So that's incredible. Hot take always is Taylor Swift. And if you watched last week's episode, KJ asked me how I felt about Taylor Swift being shown on TV all the time. And I told him from the jump I wasn't a huge fan of it. And I honestly think she might be getting a little sick of it as well, because there was a clip. Who knows if this is what she really mouthed, but there's a clip of her in the suite, and she looks up and realizes that she's on TV, and she mouths, maybe this, don't quote me, but this is what people think, "Get me off." So I don't know if she's getting a little bit tired of it. I think a lot of other people are getting tired of it because I think they show her more than they show the owners, that they show like other family members. And now the hot topic is Taylor Swift going to make the Super Bowl, because she is going to be performing in Japan. There's so many TikToks, there's so many videos and about if she's going to make it or not, but let's be real, she's going to make it. She's going to make it. No chalk. Okay. All right, next game, Lions versus Niners. This was another crazy game. I actually went down to the tailgate for Bachon's Japanese barbecue sauce to collect some content, and I'm going to say it. Somebody asked me, because they know I'm from Seattle, when I was at the tailgate, like, oh, how is Seattle's tailgate versus this? And I'm going to say this, Seattle fans, don't get mad at me, but I feel like things in the Bay are just a little bit more fun or a little bit more hype, should I say. But their tailgate outside of Levi's Stadium is so lit. Like, it's so much fun. The energy that everybody brings. I think too, the difference between Seattle and Levi's is like Levi's is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of in the middle of all these office buildings, whereas the Seattle Stadium is right in the middle of the city. So with that comes the amount of space that you can actually tailgate. The Levi's Stadium parking lots are wild. They have like the red zone, they have green zone, they have multiple green parking lots. And so I think for them, it allows that actual like environment and ability to tailgate. So I give them that. But yeah, like the atmosphere was just super fun. Everybody was cooking up like barbecuing and listening to music and just having such a good time. Passing out tequila shots. I was passing out bachans for their food. So it was a good time. I did not go to the game. I would have fallen asleep because I ended up coming home washing my hair and falling asleep after the first 2 scores that the Lions did. So the Lions came out right away. First drive, score. And then they scored again right away. So it wasn't looking good for the Niners. And every time this happens, or every time the Niners are not doing well, the first people I think of are all my friends out here, specifically Clarence. After the game, I try not to text him throughout the game because I know he's stressed, or his phone is always on do not disturb. So I know not to disturb him. So, but the game was crazy, right? I fell asleep. I think I fell asleep maybe at the beginning or middle of the first quarter, and then I woke up and it was probably the middle of the third quarter, and it was 24-17. So at this point, when I fell asleep, it was 14-0. So now it's 24-17. And then shortly after that, the Niners score. And then it's tied. And I'm like, what is happening? And at this point, I can just totally tell that the momentum has shifted. The Niners looked so good. Their offense was wild. Like Christian McCaffrey was going off per usual. Brandon Ayuk had like a crazy catch. The ball bounced off the defender's head and he ended up catching it. And I saw an interview post game and they asked him like in that moment what happened. And he goes, I don't know. All I can say is that before the game, a ladybug landed on me. That's all he said. But if you're like that kind of person, like I'm totally like that. Like if a butterfly lands on me or if a ladybug lands on me, I'm like, oh, this is a really good omen. So that was in his favor. Kittle had some crucial catches. Like it was just, and Purdy had some great runs as well. So I think, yeah, I don't know, the Niners, I don't know what happened. Whatever their halftime speech was, whatever they said at halftime, it worked. So maybe you should say that at the beginning of the next game so that you can play like that all 4 quarters instead of the last 2 quarters. The Lions did have a couple chances to score some points. There was a moment where they didn't go for the field goal, but they went for it on 4th and goal. They didn't convert, and so that cost them 3 points. But again, like I think the Lions have been successful on 4th down. So that's how they were playing and that's what they did. So that's what they knew and that's what they went for. And, you know, unfortunately this time it just didn't happen. So some numbers, Purdy was 20 for 31, had 267 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And the Niners came out with that win. All right, so we have the Chiefs as the AFC champions and we have the Niners as the NFC champions. And now they're coming back to play each other in the Super Bowl, which will be in Las Vegas. Last time these teams saw each other in the Super Bowl, it was in 2020. The Chiefs ended up winning 20-31. So I think, especially for the Niners, like last year the Niners lost. And so I think this year they had a chip on their shoulder and they were remembering last year's NFC championship as well. And so I think that, I don't know, I think they're going in ready for this. I was talking to Clarence, my friend, and, you know, he's a huge Niners fan and he was obviously already stressed out about the Super Bowl, but this is what he told himself. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a really interesting point of view too. It's like the Chiefs and the Niners are very different teams this season, right? I mean, you're always going to be a different team, but the Niners are a very different team. They didn't have half of these players that are playing this season when they played the Chiefs in 2020. So now they have Brock Purdy, they have Christian McCaffrey. They did have Deebo Samuel at the time, but then they also have, I don't know, but the Chiefs are maybe the same, minus a few people like Tyreek Hill. So it'd be really interesting to see the matchup. But again, it's like we got Patrick Mahomes. This is his 4th Super Bowl appearance. And then we have Brock Purdy. This is his 2nd season, but 1st Super Bowl appearance. So I don't know. Is this when experience comes into play? I don't know. I don't know. Because then you watch games like last night where Jared Goff was more experienced than in Brock Purdy, but my goodness, it's gonna be crazy. But all I gotta say is, like I said, I feel like if the Niners want to pull off this win, they have to come and play all 4 quarters because the Kansas City defense is crazy in the second half. So, and that's where the Niners won yesterday. So they're gonna have to play quarters 1 and 2, not just 3 and 4. This is a question that I just don't know the answer to. Who do I want to win the Super Bowl? Or maybe I should just say, who is my prediction to win the Super Bowl? Feelings and emotions aside about how I feel about these 2 teams. All right. I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it. I think the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl this year. Jonathan. I don't know why that just like my palms just got sweaty thinking about it, just because it's not something that should be said by me, but I said it. All right. So you heard it here. I actually got invited to some 49ers Super Bowl parties. They're now allowing me to attend, but we'll see if I actually go. All right. So I think what's really interesting, we're going to go into a little segment and we're going to call this the GOAT conversation. Patrick Mahomes is putting up crazy numbers, and this is only his 7th season as quarterback for the Chiefs and 6th year as a starter. But, you know, it's like obviously there's always comparisons of like LeBron versus Michael Jordan and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not comparing them to that extent, but I'm going to compare them to, is Patrick Mahomes en route to be just as good as Tom Brady was? Granted, Tom Brady has had 23 years of experience in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes is only on his 7th. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare the numbers of Tom Brady in his first 7 years in the NFL and now Patrick Mahomes' first 7 years in the NFL. You know, this is very wild because when you compare the numbers side by side, it's like, holy shit, Mahomes is, in my opinion, yes, he's on track. Obviously it's a team sport, and without, you know, great receivers and XYZ, then he can't get these numbers, but let's just get into it. All right. So at this point, they have played the same amount of games. It's 96 passing yards total for these last 7 seasons. Mahomes has 28,424. Brady has 21,564. So Mahomes has already surpassed Brady in passing yards. Passing touchdowns, Mahomes has 219 and Brady has 147. So again, Mahomes is already ahead of Brady in the first 7 years in the NFL. Interceptions, 63 versus 78. So Mahomes has less. So then we go into completion percentage. 66.5 for Mahomes, 61.9 for Brady. So they're very close, but Mahomes is still ahead. All right, now we're going to go into rushing yards, and I think we already know what the answer to this is going to be. Tom Brady was not a runner, and no comment. Anyways, so Mahomes had 1,936 yards rushing, and Brady was at 435. Rushing touchdowns, I think we already know this is going to go as well. Mahomes had 12, Brady had 3. Next, we're going to go Super Bowl wins. At this point, who knows, this number might change because there's still one more Super Bowl to go, but it's 2 to 3. Mahomes has 2, Brady has 3. Also, too, Mahomes was MVP and Super Bowl champion, the youngest player to do it. So in one season, which is insane. I don't know. Like, I personally think he's on track. Like, this is insane if you actually want to compare numbers side by side for the first 7 seasons as a NFL quarterback. But then let's be real too. Like, if you look at the bigger picture, 23 years in the NFL is insane. I think the average number of years in the NFL is probably like not even 2. Oh my gosh. So it'll be interesting, and it'll be really cool to see how Patrick continues his legacy in the NFL and continues his years. But I definitely think he's on track, and I'm just curious to see what other people think as well. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is on track to receive GOAT status? Let me know what you think. All right. So this weekend is the NFL Pro Bowl in Orlando. Remember the days when it was in Hawaii at Aloha Stadium? That's one thing I regret when I was living out there that I didn't go attend, was the Pro Bowl. But yeah, it should be a good time. And then the following week is Super Bowl. Let me know your predictions for Super Bowl. Oh, I can't believe football season is coming to an end. But we're not done yet. We still have one more game. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. Living out here in the Bay. Bang, bang. I'm not going to say it. I can't say it. That's all I hear. That's all I hear is bang, bang. You know the rest. Anyways. Dee Dee's exhausted. But all right, that is all we have for today. I am excited for the Super Bowl. If you're having Super Bowl parties, I would love to see pictures and all of that. Also, get Bachan's Japanese barbecue sauce if you have not tried it. It's so, 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 so good. All right, my name is Alex. I'll talk to you later. Bye.